FPL is finally back, and I've wasted no time in creating my first draft ahead of the new season. I've got some tasty underpriced gems in the team alongside some players that I deem essential, so you're going to want to stick around for this one. And if you are new around here, make sure you do hit that subscribe button and drop a like on the video. And without further ado, let's get into it. So I've decided to go for a 3-5-2 formation, as I really do think that that is the optimal formation to go for based on the prices that we have got this season. And first up, I have gone for Ramsdale in goal at 5 million. I think there are some okay goalkeepers out there, but Arsenal's defence I really do think is going to be up there amongst the best alongside the likes of Man City this year. And Ramsdale coming in at 5 million is the pick of the bunch in my eyes. Arsenal kick off the season with some really good fixtures, in particular some good home fixtures like Nottingham Forest at home and Fulham at home. And with the return of Saliba and also the signing of Timber, I think we could see some early clean sheets out the bat for them. It's worth mentioning Gabriel also coming in at 5 million is a really interesting choice in the defence, but I really like Ramsdale as an option in the sticks. Now moving into the defence, of course I have got Trent Alexander-Arnold in the team at the ridiculous price of 8 million. Is he worth the 8 million compared to the 6.5 of Robertson? Only time will tell. But the reason why I like going for Trent at the start is it means that I can come down from him to any player in the game. Whereas if I was to have somebody like Robertson at 6.5 as my top tier defender, I'm going to struggle to get myself to Trent if he really does hit the ground running, playing in that midfield role that we have seen, and also still taking upon himself the set piece responsibilities. So right now, Trent makes the team at that outrageous 8 million price bracket. And either side of him, we have got Luke Shaw and Reece James. We'll come on to Reece James in a second. But with Luke Shaw, yes, the Man United fixtures are a little bit hit and miss to start the season. But with those home games at home against Wolves and Nottingham Forest, it's important to note Luke Shaw is fantastic on the bonus points, even when he does play left back. A lot of the time he was picking him up as centre back last year. Left back, he has the attacking potential and is guaranteed game time in that system. Luke Shaw for me is currently a lock in the side unless things start to change at Man United, whether some players drop out, Casemiro gets an injury, etc, etc. But the one that's probably rattling a few people at the back is Reece James, 5.5 million. I can't help myself. I honestly think that he is one of those defenders alongside Trent that has the highest ceiling. And yes, Chelsea kicked the season off against Liverpool, but realistically, if Reece James can get himself fit, hit the ground running under Pochettino, I think that his price is going to soar through the roof in the opening game weeks, in particular when he has the likes of Luton at home and Nottingham Forest at home in game weeks 3 and 4. I know you could wildcard him in around that price point, but I might just want to go early doors on Reece James and get him into my team. And currently, he is making the cut in the defence. But again, let me know your thoughts in the comments on both the goalkeeper and the defenders. We are going to be shouting out some notable players in future videos, but right now, these are the ones that I am tempted by. And in terms of the bench, Botman at 4.5 feels like the better option over Trippier. 2 million more for Trippier, who's getting on another year. Champions League football, I cannot justify that price, but I still back the Newcastle defence. And Bell, the 4 million gem that we've all come to put in our teams right now. Luton, if they have any chance of staying up this year, need to put in a fortress at home, and hopefully Bell can be a consistent stonewall in that defence over that period. Go in on early and hopefully he will pay dividends for us. So we've got the defenders out the way. Let's move into the interesting part, which is, of course, the midfielders. Now, looking at the midfielders, I think they have priced these fantastically. Now, it is worth noting, I have sinned. I do not have Mo Salah in my draft at 12.5 million. I know it is a sore subject for a lot of managers out there, and he may come into my team, but I think there's such fantastic value out there in the game. Bruno Fernandes and Saka are my two quote-unquote premiums in this midfield at 8.5 million. Arsenal's fixtures are fantastic and we need at least a double up in their attack. And Saka is the pick of the bunch for me. Martinelli is a consideration at 0.5 million less, but with Saka being on penalties, I'm all in on him. And of course, Trossard may take some minutes away from Martinelli. And Bruno Fernandes, when we're talking about minutes, this man plays every game, every minute, whether he is injured or not. And we know that he has the potential to also be on penalties. Yes, Man United's fixtures are a little bit mixed, but again, as I said, the home games are fantastic. It'd be interesting to see how Mason Mount integrates into the midfield, but there's no chance Bruno Fernandes gets displaced in that midfield, and I really want a piece of that Man United midfield, and I think Bruno is the pick of the bunch. Now for the exciting picks. Phil Foden makes it into the early draft at 7.5 million. It has benefited us, the fact that KDB is injured going into the new season, and also Foden had a shocking season last year. It means that he is underpriced at 7.5, and we know Man City's fixtures are fantastic. And if he does play in that Kevin De Bruyne role, with Kovacic behind him, feeding them balls, I really do think Foden is going to be the underpriced gem of the entire game at 7.5 million. He can make a mockery of that. Now, we know Pep rotation is there, but I think he's going to get some solid game time at the start of the season, and I really want to take that early punt on him. Now, moving into the two quote-unquote cheaper options, Mbeumo, I really think, is the best out-of-position player that has been spotted so far. He will likely play, not necessarily up front, but in a front three for Brentford, alongside the likes of Visser and maybe even Sane. 6.5 I think is fantastic, and he also could be on penalties in the absence of Ivan Toney. Big fan of Mbeumo, and the fixtures for Brentford are pretty decent. Spurs to open the season at home, couldn't get any better. No, of course not. But then we have Fulham and Crystal Palace alongside Bournemouth. Big fan of the fixtures for Brentford, and he is currently in the side. But the one that I really like the look of is Enciso at 5.5 million. Now, of course, we could go for Mitoma, we could go for Solly March, but at 5.5 million, I think you can save yourself $1 million and go for the exciting prospect of Enciso. He can play anywhere along the front three and also in that McAllister role in midfield. Yes, we could see some rotation from time to time, but I think he has that high ceiling that we always want from our FPL options. And right now, he makes the pick of the bunch from those Brighton midfielders. But let me know your thoughts in the comments. I'll be really interested to know how many of these players have made it into your first draft. So we've covered the goalkeepers, we've covered the defenders and the midfielders. It's time for the big boys up front. Now, of course, Erling Haaland makes a draft. I'm not even going to discuss him in this draft because for me, he is the one player that is absolutely essential in your teams. Similar to Trent, if you go without Haaland, you go for Kane, you're going to need to find 2 million in the bank somewhere to go up from him in later game weeks when he inevitably goes back-to-back hat-tricks. Don't take the risk in the early start. Go for him, and then yes, if we are seeing a regression in him or Man City, you can move away from him and downgrade into other areas. It's not worth the risk at the start of the season. But the one that I really think is going to fly under the radar, somebody that was 80% owned in game week 1 last year, is Gabriel Jesus. Now, it's worth noting, I think the forwards are pretty awful in this game this season. Watkins at 8 million, I can't justify him over Jesus. Nkunku could be really interesting at 7.5, but I've taken the punt on James. I don't want to take another punt on Nkunku early doors, but I think he could be amazing value. And realistically, the promoted teams that have come up don't really have a talisman forward that we look at and think, oh, I need a piece of that. And I think Gabriel Jesus, when he plays, he is at the funnel of everything good at Arsenal. His underlying stats are amazing. And we have to remember he was out for a significant part of last season. I think him being back in the side with creative players alongside him like Havertz, it could be the season for Gabriel Jesus to finally break 20 league goals. So I'm really interested to see him in the squad. So that is going to be the early team. I have Semenyo at Bournemouth as my 4.5 million option, but of course that could change. We don't really know any 4.5 million forward right now that is actually going to be a gem. This scores 99.5 million with 0.5 million in the bank. Be really interested in the comments what your thoughts are in this squad. Okay guys, that's going to wrap up today's video on my first draft. Let me know in the comments what your thoughts are. And if you did enjoy the video, please do consider hitting that like button and smashing the subscribe button. It's a new channel and I really want to get things going and provide the best content I possibly can for you guys. And as always, if you're interested in free Discord channels, check it out in the bio. We're getting a big community together where you can send your teams to me and I will rate them throughout pre-season, and join the FPL Fan League. Again, link is in the bio. And that just leaves me to say, have a fantastic day and I'll see you in the next video. Take care. Cheers.